we about to do it. Watch us get into it. We some lumberjacks, and we needin' wood. Yeah, we going for the sweep, then we mop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up, 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 chop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday night, and we're back here on YouTube. As always, probably the most consistent thing on Wednesday night YouTube in the past, God, 8, 9 months, however long it's been. But Wednesday night means one thing: the NFL show hosted by Beast Kane. It's the most consistent lineup as well from the Chop and Block podcast. Coach Price, the Thoroughbred Havoc, and me, Steve Dalton. So go ahead and lead us, Beast of Kane. A lot to talk about after the conference championship games, and now on to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I take no pleasure. Let me not lie. I take all the pleasure to welcome in my cast to talk about Mr. Patrick Mahomes, the ultimate chief. Look at that picture, y'all. Now, I put his face into there, but look at how it all just kind of come together. I want to get into the bully ball on the next slide, but what I wanted to do with this slide right here is to get you guys' opinion on where exactly Mahomes sits right now. Now, okay. I told y'all I was going to bring in some more information about that, and I'm going to start with this bit of information right here. These stats right here through the first 6 years of starting. You see Mahomes on the left and Brady on the right. Just take a look at that real quick. Both for the win-loss record, pretty much the same. You got the playoff record, pretty much the same, but Mahomes got another win, couple wins. 4 AFC titles for Mahomes, 3 for Brady. Brady got 3 Super Bowls, Mahomes 2. And as you can look at look at the TDs to interception ratio, unreal, and the quarterback rating. One more piece of information is right here that we want to get in. I want to get into this mountain right here, Mahomes Mountain, done by First Things First. I say he does this a lot, but I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on where do you think Mahomes sits currently right now in his career. Start with you, Dalton.
Well, I think this will tie into the mountain that I'll talk about on the next slide too. I can't think of many quarterbacks if you talk about their first 6 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I can't think of many quarterbacks you talk about in their first 6 years. Maybe, I guess let's say Tom Brady, Mahomes, Big Ben. He had a Super Bowl and played for a couple AFC titles after that. And it's getting pretty slim. Peyton Manning, it took him a long time. It definitely wasn't in 6 years. So I think this is a very small territory. But the career, I think, is what shows everything. Because there's been a lot of great quarterbacks. There's been a lot of great quarterbacks that didn't win a Super Bowl. So Mahomes, another thing to look at on this thing here, Mahomes would have 3 Super Bowls if it wasn't for that man on the right that beat him in one. So, or you could say he would have another one if Brady wouldn't have beat him in the AFC Championship that year. So the thing is, I don't know if y'all saw Tom Brady on the show the other day being asked about the whole comparison. I think it was the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah,
I liked his answer. Nothing that Mahomes can ever do should ever be judged up against Brady, and nothing that Brady ever did should be judged up against Mahomes. They are 2 greats in their own right. They had just 3 head-to-head battles. That's all they had. But, that's why it don't really matter head-to-head. They're greats in their own right. But I'll leave what I have to say next for the next slide because, it's juicy and I can't wait.
Come on, Coach.
Honestly, man, what Mahomes is doing right now is unique. Nobody's done it. So he's on the status of being the best, I'll say, ever played a game. But it's about a career. And how long will his career last? But the numbers that he got right now and everything that's going for him, you can't take none of that away from him. I mean, right now he's showing that this is where I'm at as a quarterback. Now, the difference in everything about every quarterback, about every era there is in football, the game was played different. Athletes were paid different. So it's easy for me to go put up certain numbers when I got an all-star cast around me. And everybody can say a big-time receiver. A big-time receiver is only one position. What your running back do, who everybody don't account for like they should, is part of old school football. It should never be taken away. But who's got a better tight end? Because without the tight end, you don't get nowhere. The tight end is what gets you to the end zone. Because when you get that close, who do you target? The tight end. So 258 touchdowns, how many of them going to tight ends? Well, we know one tight end that they're going to because he broke a record that nobody thought would ever be broken. And it wasn't a wide receiver that broke that. It was what? A tight end. Mm-hmm. So when I look at Brady, it's one thing that he done. Because he didn't have a Pacheco. Just like, okay, he had Randy Moss. They don't need that because Brady, who was his top dog tight end that everybody knew he was going to other than Gronk, and look how late that had to come. So for me, to balance it out right now, I would say that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL in this era. What he's doing right now is just going to be like Jerry Rice's record that Kelsey broke. It's going to stand for a long time, and it might be 20 years from now, but somebody will snap it. But for right now, he's going to go on, and he's going to leave the Chief at the top of the history books.
You know, Coach, you brought up a good thing about when you compare, like, when you bring up the tight ends and Brady and think about Gronk and Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey. When you look at these teams and you look at the quarterbacks, I mean, with the exception of Patrick Mahomes, athletic ability, seemed to be a more dynamic player. Brady seems to be more cerebral, deadly accurate. But these teams had a lot in common. If you look at the way that they kind of went about things, both of them had just like crazy coaches. I know it looked like it tailed off a little bit for Belichick, but we gave him the credit while he was there, keeping the team together, whatever. But I do see a striking similarity between these teams and their success. What say you, Havoc?
Wow. What's Mahomes' legacy? Guys, that 14-3 playoff record in 6 years as the starter, I mean, it's remarkable. He literally just tied Peyton Manning, Bradshaw, and John Elway, and that's third most in history. And this is his 6th season. Like, that's unheard of to me. John Elway, I got to see at the end of his career, great quarterback. Peyton Manning, great quarterback. I didn't get to see much of Terry Bradshaw, but when you're already being talked about with John Elway and Peyton Manning in your 6th season, I mean, that says a lot about you. And then you look at the list of victims on Mahomes Mountain. You got Lamar Jackson, he sent home. You got Josh Allen, he sent home. And your boy Brock Purdy probably do the same thing. Mahomes has been doing this his whole career. He keeps rings from people. People don't want to hear it. Well, go back every year, look at every quarterback he beat, and then tell me how many rings those QBs have. All of them are ringless. The guy that beat him, Joe Burrow, lost in the Super Bowl. So this is what we're dealing with right now. We're in the middle of the Mahomes era, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. Now, as far as where he ranks in history, right now, I mean, you've got to put him top 5 all time right now after 6 seasons. It's hard for me to say right now he's had a better career than Elway or Joe Montana, but he's climbing up there fast. And at some point, I'll be changing my words and saying he had a better career than Elway, at least based on the way things are going right now. He's got a great situation. He's got Andy Reid. The defense has been much improved. And, I mean, we all saw Chris Jones. He made Lamar Jackson's life a living hell last Sunday. They couldn't block Chris Jones.
Right. Well, tell me why. Let's go ahead and go to the slide and stay with you, have it. Tell me what's your argument for Elway over Mahomes?
Well, Elway had to carry a lot of teams. Not necessarily, he didn't have stars early in his career like Mahomes did with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. So Elway's first 3 Super Bowls, he was carrying teams, even though they were 0-3 in the Super Bowl, and it looked like he was going to be a choker. But then when they got towards the end of Elway's career, they got Terrell Davis, and that's when they won back-to-back. Terrell Davis was the MVP. He rushed for 2,000 yards. But it's very close, Barry. Like, that's just right now. If Mahomes, after he wins I don't want to jinx him. I don't mean to say after he wins the Super Bowl. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's already going to pass Elway. So, I mean, we're literally very, very close to him being better than Elway. But right now, it's still Elway. But it's very close.
Well, what about Montana? How you going to say Elway before you say Montana?
Montana, yeah, it's similar. I mean, he's a lot more physically talented than Montana ever was. I mean, Montana couldn't make these passes. But as of now, still, like the 4 rings playing within the system, for now, Montana. But again, I think he's going to surpass Montana. He's just got all the measurables, and it's his era. I think Mahomes is in these guys' head, guys. I think these guys go to play the Chiefs in the playoffs, and they don't believe they can win. I don't think Lamar Jackson thought he could win. I don't think Josh Allen thought he could win. Mahomes is running the league right now, and people don't want to accept that. And if you don't accept it, he's going to keep showing you.
Man, you touched on something. I always can count on you to come and hit me with something that I have thought about previously, most of the time that I would never think about some of the stuff, But that's right, man. I think I'm going to get into that on the next slide when I get into the bully ball. Coach, what do you got on Mahomes Mountain?
Man, come on. John Elway, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Steve Young. You had players like Lawrence Taylor coming at you. Them boys got hit. Mahomes and all them boys, they're in that era where, oh, he touched me. And that's a big difference. So when you look at quarterback mountain, you got to understand what side of the mountain can you really climb compared to what side of the mountain was the easiest route to the top. Those guys back in the day, Charles Haley, man, come on. Put them boys really against defensive end and defensive linemen who did not want to do nothing but do what? Brutalize a quarterback. You touch him now, you out the game. You hit him here, you hit him there, you out the game. But the guy at the top of the mountain, he created the little tuck rule. That's
Right.
when we started saying, woe on our quarterbacks that are bringing in the revenue. You get to Peyton Manning, we already knew he just couldn't really run. So what he really done was extraordinary because he went up there with 10 plays in his head. And when he got to the line of scrimmage, whatever he checked into, the entire offense knew what that play was, but it damn sure wasn't what was called in the huddle for play 1 or 2.
Mm.
So where Peyton Manning had was that's like you got to be a computer whiz to figure out just how you going to get on this side of the mountain to get to the top of it. So, you know, that's a very difficult mountain that I would say you really want to climb, to just go ahead and put Mahomes at the top of it, because every quarterback on that list went through an entire different era where they were beat up and broke up, and they drove their teams to victory, compared to the ones who can get that 15-yard penalty that them guys got punished for.
Well, if you saying that, Coach, then we're gonna have to bring Bradshaw back into the mountain, because Bradshaw had what, 4 Super Bowls?
4 Super Bowls.
And they didn't even have a whole helmet on back then. So if we're gonna look at it to the standpoint of the difficulty of the game, then we're gonna have to redo the whole mountain. And the other thing, I venture to say that this new league is a whole lot more talented than the old leagues.
Because Bradshaw, you got to remember, that's the Steel Curtain era. So what was that about? Defense. The Purple People Eaters, the Chicago Bears. Like I said, the New York Giants. Back then, defenses really came and they crushed you. So, you know, like I said, the league has changed a little bit for quarterbacks. And I wouldn't take none of these guys off the mountain. It's just all about which direction are you going to go to get past them.
That's a great point. And Dalton, do you think that the eras matter in this situation? Should we readjust how we think about Brady due to the tuck rule and when he played? Or what do you think about this?
I think what you should do is you should look at each quarterback and the era they're in and judge that for what it's worth. And then, you know, I think there's certain I think there's probably 5 things you could compare them on after that to say who might have been the best. And I think that comes down to, in my opinion, it's wins, playoff wins, Super Bowl rings, touchdown passes, and passing yards. That's the 5 that matter to me in quarterbacks. And I'm okay with the mountain. Here's the things that I would change, though.
I didn't hear you say rushing. I didn't hear you say rushing.
No, I don't think rushing, in my opinion, I'd put a couple things over rushing.
Okay.
For right now. Now, the league's evolving, and eventually that's going to be, you know, let's be honest, if Lamar Jackson has, you know, I don't know, 50,000 yards passing and 20,000 yards rushing, my God, I mean, yeah, he might be the best, but right now, you know, I don't think it's that important, but I think it is in a different category. But here's what I'll say on the mountain. I'm gonna list some guys here that I think that is above Mahomes. Okay. First, I'll go with some guys I think Mahomes has already surpassed, or that he is even with. And like I just said, I look at passing yards, passing touchdowns, playoff wins, and Super Bowl rings. All right, so he is even with Big Ben. I think he is even with like Havoc said, Elway. And I think he's better than Favre, Staubach, Young, Rodgers. I think he's better than Marino already. And then here's the people that I think. Oh, here's another one he's also even with. I think he is even with Peyton Manning. 2 Super Bowls is 2 Super Bowls. He is going to blow Manning's stats out of the water. He's going to play longer than him, I think. Even if he don't play as long as him, I think he'll still break his records. And then here's the guys that I think is above him. All right. Terry Bradshaw. Okay, 4 Super Bowls. And here's a little X factor for Bradshaw. He is the only quarterback of all time to call his plays. There was none of this call a play to the huddle. No, Terry Bradshaw is back there drawing his finger in the dirt, and that's literally how they called plays. You know, if you want to watch the interview of him talking about it, this man won 4 Super Bowls calling plays.
But they was playing Rockmore.
No, they wasn't either. You go back and watch these videos. These are some grown men out there. and it's a different league, a different era. Yeah, he had a great defense, but guess what? That's the reason the title come defense wins championships, because you got to score to win, but the defense got to close it out, and they had one of the best of the time. So I think Bradshaw is up there above him. I think Joe Montana is above him. I think Tom Brady's obviously above him. And then who else? Is there anybody else worth mentioning? No.
I mean, there's several that you could really mention, but I look at that as if that was a mountain, that's a nice region because there are different quarterbacks in each era. Like I said, that gets overlooked, and it was just about the style of the game.
Right.
Back then it was about rushing. Running backs are not as relevant as they were. Back then it's running back by committee. Like I said, Steve Young, he's being carried off the field. Ask them guys how many concussions did they really have, where they just stuck the smelling sauce and told them get back in the game. We can't win without you. I mean, it's just a different era. And as far as the easiest way up that mountain is exactly what Mahomes is doing. He can run the ball, his rushing yards. Name me one other quarterback that's in that mountain that you got to worry about him and some rushing yards. Not take off and pound you 15 or 20, but actually rushing yards.
Right. Well, Steve Young.
Yeah, Steve Young's the only guy you could say.
And
He ran a bootleg. He ran a naked bootleg. That was when it got dangerous.
You can actually say Rodgers a little bit, but nobody, maybe not as much as Mahomes. But when I think about their game, definitely Rodgers and Young more than Rodgers could kind of take off and hit you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Coach.
Oh, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this was so interesting to talk about. But that's what I'll say. Just Brady's at the top, and Mahomes is, very close to two other guys that are the pinnacle to me. But it's funny. Notice how we did not say anything about Troy Aikman even being on this list, and he has 3 Super Bowls. And I think that's funny. But a lot of people consider him, a game manager and probably the worst quarterback to win 3 Super Bowls.
But led a team and had Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, it was different. Johnston. They just ran the ball.
It was different.
Well, I mean, those Cowboy teams are. You go watch highlights of them. That's some of the greatest teams of all time, right there.
And I think the same thing about the 49ers in Montana.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. You have to.
I think they were
legacy teams.
And that's the thing that I say about Mahomes. I don't think Mahomes have those teams. I think Mahomes.
When you look back, you're gonna think that. I'm telling you.
I don't know anybody, but okay. Besides Mahomes, besides Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, it's just guys.
Kelsey and Hill and Andy Reid.
Yes, what I'm saying. But all of these guys had great coaches, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, look at the 49ers, and come on. What I'm saying is, I venture to say that Mahomes and Brady probably played. I know they had talent, but they had a lot less talent than other people, and they are able to make guys into something special, in my opinion.
You know what? I don't know, because the Chiefs have always made these trades and these free agent moves. Look at the guys we're not even naming. Mecole Hardman had some great years there. Sammy Watkins had some really good year there.
Yeah, really. You're overlooking is what actually made the Kansas City Chiefs even a relevant team, and Mahomes is the one that bounced them back. Nobody's saying Tony Gonzalez. That's the key to Kansas City. It's the tight end.
Yeah.
So what Mahomes is doing is fine and dandy, but look what's the most dominant force. You could sit and say, what if Kelsey missed so many games? This is what Mahomes did. What if Kelsey wasn't on the team?
I just think that we can say that about, okay, let's take Gronk off of the Patriots. I mean, we can say that about a lot of teams. I'm just saying, if you have one player, really honestly, that we know of. We know Brady and Gronk are Hall of Famers, right? We know
No
Patrick.
doubt.
We know Patrick and Kelsey are Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Who else on those teams can you say that about?
Chris Jones, that's about it.
Chris Jones, maybe. He probably is. But
Oh,
that's
yeah.
but look at I guarantee you go to that 49ers team, you probably got 3, 4, 5 of them or more.
Yeah, Bosa,
I
Fred
mean,
Warner,
but look at
Williams.
the end. You got to look at it over a career too, because Mahomes also had Tyrann Mathieu, who's probably going to be a Hall of Famer.
I don't know about that.
I would think so.
I don't know yet.
He won't be a first ballot.
I don't know. I don't think he'll be a first ballot, but I think he's a Hall of Famer.
He'll be about 73.
No, I don't think it'd be that long. I mean, think about it.
He got a
he
lot
had
of
pretty good
controversy that come
stats.
with him. Stats, yeah, that's one thing, but the controversy that'll come with him cause a lot of votes not to go.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, I just think he's Hall of Fame talent. He also had a Super Bowl, or maybe 2. But I don't know. There's just so many good players.
And think about it. This is something that's so hard to do, and that's why I said last week is it the new is Mahomes and Brady the next Jordan and LeBron debate? And I think we might have said more like Jordan and Kobe. I like it better, but I think both of them are very, very. I like their games better. But as far as this mountain, man, I think y'all make excellent points. It's hard to do it because of all the metrics. I like the effort of Dalton to come in and say, these are the points that I like. And honestly, man, it's hard. It's almost impossible to do it because, like Coach said, you got all these different errors. But I don't know. I'm just so biased on it because it comes down sometimes to style.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love Tom Brady. We look at him, we say, who is this? What is this guy? How can he win? Look at him. Which is going to be similar to another guy that we're going to talk to down the line.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's move to the next slide here, man. Travis Swift Kelsey, right? And listen, man, I don't know about y'all, man, but for the last 2 weeks, to me, Travis Kelsey has been a straight up bully. Now, I'm not talking about bully in no bad way. I'm talking about a bully, and I got something to prove, and I don't give a damn if you're the kicker or what. The Kansas City Chiefs have some kind of way find themselves alive to make these playoffs, and we want a piece of that pie, and we want it all again. Have it. Please tell me what's going on with that kick, messing with the kicker, and what do you think about this this record that he broke, and has he silenced his critics because they were saying he ain't the guy that he's been all these years and whatever. What are you seeing? What have you seen for the last 2 weeks, and what do you expect?
I mean, I've seen some of the greatest performances of Travis Kelce's career, and we'll go in order here. We'll start with kick that shit. He had a good explanation for that. He was Justin Tucker. I don't know why I wanted to say Turner. That's a baseball player. Justin Tucker, the kicker for the Ravens. Apparently, he's the only kicker that didn't move for the whole season from Mahomes' warm-up area. So if that is true, then I understand what Kelsey did. He was sticking up for his quarterback, and quarterbacks like that. We may not like what he did. I mean, I don't care. To me, this is stuff that shouldn't even be reported. But yeah, I think he was just sticking up for his teammate, and then bully ball, setting the tone and silencing the critics. Boy, you're not kidding about this one. Travis Kelce is a dog, and I mean, He's a dog, as in a Rottweiler or a pit bull, not someone you want to be in the ring with. He's no poodle. And did Travis silence the critics? I mean, to be fair, the critics' argument kind of makes sense because of his age, but I don't think he had many critics to begin with. And if he did, he obviously silenced him. I mean, who can cover this guy one-on-one? The Ravens foolishly tried to, and he caught 11 passes. And the Ravens game plan's another story. Now, if you would have told me they were going to hold the Chiefs to 17 points, I would have said no, but they couldn't stop Kelsey.
Right.
And then him passing Jerry Rice is amazing. Jerry Rice is the GOAT wide receiver. Anytime you break one of his records, I mean, people are going to talk about it like we're doing right now. And I mean, the sky's the limit for Travis Kelsey, obviously a future Hall of Famer. And I'm not sure what the 49ers are going to plan to do to take him out of the game, because the logic said double him and the Ravens didn't do that. So we'll see if the 49ers are smart enough to hover him around with two guys.
Oh, boy, I'm nervous about that game. Coach, what's up with Kelsey?
Well, other than this picture looking like he's some kind of secret operative going to Mother Russia on a mission in some James Bond flick.
Facts.
As far as to kick that shit, to me, that was a video stunt. Because where's the fine?
Right.
You know, it ain't going to be one. Right now, Taylor Swift is bringing money and her boyfriend is on the field. So he's going to come through, throw a few balls. You know, we're going to sit up here in the booth. We're going to actually videotape it. And then in her next video, you know, her guy or main guy, whatever, might just happen to be a football player, but he don't have a role in it. To me, that was a video stunt. But as far as what he's doing on the field, hell yeah, he's silencing the critics. I don't care what nobody says. It's part of football, period. The tight end is the most important figure on the football field because he is the only one, because there are no more fullbacks in the game. The tight end is the only one that changes the personnel. So how you going to guard us? You come out with this personnel, we'll put him on a backer. You come out in that personnel, we'll put him in the slot. You come out in this personnel, we'll straight up run Pacheco. You put him in this spot and you move him in motion, we'll put Patrick Mahomes on the other side, throwing it to Rice. Oh, but y'all was over here trying to double, triple Kelsey. Yeah, but you forgot about that guy. Because guess what made the whole defense move? Tight end. Take him out the game, you ain't got nothing. Right now, you take Taylor Swift out of his life, he ain't got nothing. And what he did as far as passing Jerry Rice as the boss, that's a record that nobody thought that would be broken. That's a boss move.
Facts.
So what he doing right now, man, it's unstoppable. I say it to the day I'm gone. The tight end is the most important figure on an offensive unit, especially if you have one with size, quickness, agility, run good routes like a wide receiver, will mix it up and block and smash you like a tight end should. Don't have to be in a three-point stance, can move him in motion, shift the coverage and protection to whatever side we want. When you got a tight end that can do that, it puts every defense in a stressful mode because he is the only one that dictates personnel.
And you know what, man? It's time for people, really, honestly. I mean, I understand people, they know that Kelsey is good, but I still think they hating on this dude and not fully appreciate him. Like the coach saying, this dude is freaking legendary. This is a tight end, guys, that has the appeal of a quarterback or some Hollywood movie star.
Oh, yeah.
He is money. That's what he's got in that black Louis bag right there. Whatever kind of bag he is, a bunch of money. I know Dalton don't like this talk because he look at his picture and probably see Gronk and Brady. Dalton, talk to me, man. What's going on with this slide?
So here's what I think. I think what we are seeing from Travis Kelce is legendary. It is something, think about this, guys. The great tight ends that we saw the last 20 years, there's only maybe one or two of them that you can say played meaningful football in the playoffs. And that is Gronk, that is Jimmy Graham, a couple years. And I guess maybe you could say
Gonzalez.
No, Gonzalez didn't play meaningful playoff football a lot.
He was a hell of a tight end, though.
He was,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. I think Jeremy Shockey actually played meaningful playoff football for the Giants. But that's what I'm saying. These are tight ends that, they didn't win Super Bowls. To my knowledge, I don't think Jeremy Shockey did win one with the Giants.
Yeah, he was on the 07 Giants.
Yeah,
team.
with
Oh, he
Manning.
did? Wow, okay.
Yeah, with Eli. He got one ring.
So, man, those are all great tight ends, but that's what I'm saying. This tight end is in, think about all the stats for Mahomes that he has in the playoffs. Kelsey's got him too.
Guess who y'all left out? Uncle Shay.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Yeah,
Antonio
sure.
Gates.
Well,
You
yeah,
bring
but
him
I said last 20 years.
Has he been out that long?
Yeah, we're getting old, Barry.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, dog.
But no, that's all. I think people should appreciate it, and I think people would appreciate it more if. Here's the thing, the NFL. I get it; they're bringing in all this money with Taylor Swift, and it's worked all year, this and that. But nobody would care if they didn't show up into the booth every time that he caught a pass, and they're doing some little hug or this. I mean, it's like, come on, like. Like at this point, like, do you just yell up there and say, hey, we're going up to the booth. Y'all do your little dumb handshake. I wish Stone Cold Steve Austin could do something on this because I guarantee you that's what he would say. You stand up there and do your little dumb handshake, and drink your martini. Like, that's what I think about it. Like, Taylor Swift, nobody really cares that she's at the game supporting her boyfriend. That's cool. It's just that CBS puts her up on the big screen.
Yeah.
Hold on. You need to slow down just a little bit. Here's why. When you watch the LA Lakers, don't you see stars all the time? Don't you see the stars standing up, acting a fool, doing everything? When you watch the Knicks, have you always saw Spike Lee jumping up and down? Don't Drake and Lil Wayne and everybody else there? Don't they interact and actually go on the court and interact with?
Yeah, they do. They do it all the time.
All this stuff.
I get that. I get it.
But what I'm saying, I know you get it, but let me give a little bit more to you. They're not generating $331.5 million of revenue for those leagues. They taking their money to their bank, but this girl is doing these kind of numbers. So I kind of think it's disingenuous and unfair, not just for what you're saying, but what a lot of people are saying. Why not? What's the point? I wish they would show her and Chili's a little bit more. Because I want to look at a bunch of guys all the time. I don't think, listen, they even saying now, Dalton, that this is an operation and that this is tied in to the election, and that Taylor Swift and the NFL has rigged the league, rigged this year for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and for right after the Super Bowl, Taylor is going to endorse Joe Biden.
Now listen. Can I please answer? You just brought up some craziness. Okay, let me answer that. All right. I read that too, and I actually thought about saying that, but I told myself I'm not going to bring that nonsense on the show. But I'm glad you did, because here's why I'm glad you did. I just think that Now that's where I'll draw the line. Like I do not believe in none of that crap. Like I just really don't. Here's what I think it's what I mean by what I say is like when you show her after every catch, like literally after every reception, it'd be one thing just showing her up at the game visiting because they do that in soccer games, like you say, or basketball. They show the stars there. That'd be one thing. But when you do it as much as they do, and then it's like, hey, they're showing off, and it's like they know the camera's on them. It looks not it unauthentic. You know what I'm saying? It really does look staged, and it looks cheesy, and I think that's where people have a problem with it because like nobody has a problem that she's a celebrity or whatever. But no, oh my God, what I think they should do though, if the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, I would pray to God that Taylor Swift would literally endorse Joe Biden or something like that because like I think they should do it out of spite because I think Travis Kelsey is just he kind of comes off as an a-hole. He's a little arrogant. So I just think he likes playing with people. That would be funny if they tried to do something like that on stage. But I don't know. Yeah, whoever came up with that rumor, that is such craziness. I just don't believe nothing like that would ever happen.
I don't believe it is. But what I think is happening though is they're
trying to create an enemy.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And this is such a big story. And Taylor is already pretty liberal in her thoughts anyway. So she's
That's what they say, but I never really read into it.
Yeah, even before the Chiefs, Taylor had her thing in politics. So I think the reason that they are attaching themselves onto this is kind of like prevention. They running a prevention defense to say this girl is getting all of this publicity and all of these things are going on if she does endorse Joe Biden, because these crazy Swifties, man, they are lunatics. You know what I mean? It's like this chick cannot do any wrong, and I haven't seen her do any wrong, but I do think it's a cult. Obviously, this is a cult-like following. I'm just saying you have to be able to separate the business from the pleasure. Business Taylor has generated this kind of money, and I think this is good for the game. I actually do. Now, do I care about Santa every 5 minutes? I don't, but listen, and I'm glad you brought that up. The average amount of times they showed Taylor Swift, and they went back and they did all of this, right? This timing thing. 25 seconds. 25 seconds in a game.
No way, Barry. Come on.
Absolutely right. It's absolutely right because they went back and they did this. And this is why this is crazy that this bothers people so much. It's unreal. And I even be honest with you, I actually think this is a little bit sexist because when
oh, he's going at us, guys.
Hold on. When Colorado had every star in the country on the sideline, nobody raised hell. You didn't see this kind of outburst. It's because you got this billionaire female and one of the most hated teams because they are the current dynasty. That's why everybody is mad. And you know what? They just gonna have to get over it. Back to football.
Well, I didn't get to pop on that real quick. I just want to say this about her 331.5. The first thing anybody can do that could ruin any meal is to try to find a way to throw the politics in it. So when they write the stories, that's how you disrupt the meal. I could give a rat's ass if she endorsed Spike Lee. He ain't even in there. But I could care less who the money went to. What she did was she found the missing money in football.
Wow.
See, football turned into the man cave. Taylor Swift said, bring it upstairs.
Wow. That's great. I like how you said the missing money. That's a ball. That's a ball.
That's the missing money.
Yeah.
She brought the girls, the teenagers, the moms, the grandmoms, anybody who even likes music, period, a fan of hers, been to a concert. How many concerts she done had? How many times have they sold out? How many people damn near fainted? All them people are generating into what she is doing because those are Taylor Swift fans. So
Right.
she bringing that money to the league. So what would that do? That's going to cause the league to start to expand. Like I said, 331 million. Look, Mr. Goodell, look how much money I just brought in. Revenue, mainly Kansas City Chiefs revenue. So what's going to happen is my guy Bo, who's been my cameraman for the past 15 years, is going to sit in the back of our booth with a high zoom camera. My boyfriend is going to walk across the field. You know who that is. And we're going to throw the balls out of the way and just pick on Justin. And Justin's really not going to do anything because he's cool with us anyway. His daughters are Taylor Swift fans, just like his wife is. So he's really not going to do nothing, but we're just going to film this because if you had done that to Raekwon Smith, it might have been a different turnout for your boyfriend.
But
So,
you know what? But during the game, it didn't have nothing to do with the kicker didn't come on the field. But what
at
won,
all.
and
But the
he
money,
and what I'm saying is Kelsey ain't back down for none of them.
no, he ain't. But I mean, you got to think about it.
I mean, I know
I
it's in the
brought $331 million to the team or to the NFL just for this little clip. Y'all already give me my own spotlight. I ain't getting but 25 seconds. But just for this little clip for a video shoot,
right.
this is what's going to happen
And here's the
because there's been no fine. And if you brought me $331.5 million, baby, I ain't going to find you because my granddaughter hate me, Mr. Goodell.
right. That's
She
funny.
bringing money to the league.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't even really think that was worth the fine. I mean, come on, that was just ridiculous. I think Tucker started that crap. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. And if Mahomes had a tripped over them balls or that thing, I mean, dude, go on out the way. I mean, when I don't know if y'all play football. Whenever I played football, you had one half of the field, and we had one half of the field.
Yeah.
You
So let
wasn't down
Mahomes
in
kick
the
them
middle.
balls.
You wasn't down in the middle of what we trying to do. I mean, come on, man. That was Tucker knew he was in the wrong.
That's why he ain't the GOAT just yet. His horns ain't solid enough. You know what I'm saying? Let
Right.
him come out there and ram the kicker and say, get out my spot. You know, don't let your tight end have to do it. It's a video shoot.
And here's another thing. I'll say this one thing before we move to another slide. College football, we hear people talk about all the time how exciting college football is. It's crazy. It's this and that. You see all of it, and they keep the camera in the stands. Besides Taylor Swift, what is the reason really? I mean, if you ain't talking about Bills Mafia or New Orleans or some of these other organizations that kind of got crazy fans, it's pretty much you need a little something extra in it. And I think that, look, man, we talked about this about 3 or 4 times this year. Did any of us think that she was going to generate $331 million for the NFL? I just thought she was coming to the game to see her boyfriend. It turned into something else real quick. All right, back to the tee and off. Coach, let me get you to go ahead and continue on this one, Coach. What was the real meaning of that game? Which coach teed off in terms of that really was that element that brought the Chiefs to victory and for their third, I guess, what is the fourth Super Bowl? I think it's 4th Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah. 4th.
Well, the T-shirt that looked like a guy tripped up in a big old pile of mustard and wiped his face on a shirt. I mean, the bottom line is Andy Reid all day. whatever he's got, I'm with it. I mean, to me, that's the key to Kansas City is Andy Reid,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
no matter what. So yeah, I'm with Andy Reid as far as you know the coach that I'm gonna go with right now on pretty much any level. It doesn't matter what Shanahan and the rest of the boys over there are doing. You know, they're good coaches and masterminds. But Andy Reid is just an old school coach, and an old school coach is a player's coach, not a coach that the players like to kick it with, but the coach that players like to respect. You don't want him to be the angry grandpa. You know, don't come in here like you some kind of authority, and gonna get it done. You know, you're not Zeus. You can't come in the locker room like that. You lose respect of the whole football team. You can't
Right.
come in there and be the jerk that says, "Oh, if you don't play for me, I get your ass out of here." You might be out of there before some of them even get a chance to sniff free agency.
With
But
facts.
Andy Reid is just that coach to where he's strictly old school. You want to do it his way and no other way. He's been around long enough to let you know that's how it is. You don't ever want to piss him off. You want to keep him happy. And he's going to make sure that he's got somebody that's going to lead his football team to where he don't really have to do it. He's going to make them rally behind him. And that's what he's doing with Mahomes. I mean, in my lifetime, I've never seen a head coach, a quarterback, and a tight end all in a commercial.
That's deep, coach. You nailed it. That's true. That's true. That's true. And you know that culture is so amazing, the dynamic between them. And that is genius for whoever decided to bring them together, man. It's
A
light years
team effort.
ahead. Yeah, man, it's just so crazy. Dalton, what do you think? Which coach teed off? What was the reason behind the win? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I got to go with everything Coach Price said. I mean, Andy Reid is the answer for everything, and that's not a bad thing to say about 49ers coach, or any of the coaches. Um, that's all you can say. Andy Reid, Andy Reid.
Have it.
Well, Andy Reid definitely teed off. The reason they won this game is, guys, I'm sure we remember the Bills game when Josh Allen was trying to play hero ball. Well, Patrick Mahomes figured out this game. We don't need to play hero ball. We're going to be able to score 17 points and win this game. And that's called smart football, game managing. Look at the camera. Game managing. There's nothing wrong with game managing. Game manager. And we have ruined this title. We've made it sound so degrading. Oh my God, he called me a game manager. Well, what that meant was you were able to manage the situation effectively, get the ball out to the right guys, not try to do too much, stay within yourself. Patrick Mahomes was a game manager on Sunday, and it worked, and they won a football game. You can win game managing. So whoever thinks that this notion, hey, you have to go out and throw 4 touchdowns every game. No, you don't. And Andy Reid proved that again. You can win when your quarterback isn't throwing 50-yard darts everywhere. He had to dink and dunk, and they still won the football game. So, yeah, it's definitely Andy Reid. He figured out an effective game plan. And shit, if you don't have to throw it 70 yards, if the Ravens aren't doing anything on offense, why take any chances? He knew Todd Monken wasn't going to run the ball. He knew they were going to try to outpass Pat Mahomes. How'd that work?
Okay. That sounds real good. I like the energy come from it. And Andy Reid is my favorite coach of all time. But we got to hit the brakes. Okay? We got to hit the brakes. The Chief defense is the story of the year.
Yeah.
Those kids got on this shirt right here, Inspect, We Trust.
Mm-hmm.
The Chief rolled the defense. They're riding the defense. That's why in the AFC Championship game, they scored 0 points. They scored 0 points in the second half, guys.
Down.
0 points. And they won an AFC Championship. trip to the Super Bowl. This was all about the defense. They asked Andy Reid during the press conference about the Inspag 3 trustees. That's what the defense was wearing. And Kelsey said that he actually had to pick up 1-2 guys. They fully appreciated the efforts of Chris Jones and the cast.
Oh, yeah.
That is the reason why the Chiefs won that trip to the Super Bowl. So as good as the offensive coordinator is, as good as Andy Reid is, I think this playoff season and much of this season, much of the regular season, had everything to do with Spags.
And I'm glad
This
you
is where I
mentioned
can
Chris
buck
Jones
that
there,
just
Barry.
a hair. Is Spags is where he's at because of Andy Reid. Andy Reid has taken Spags with him everywhere. So it's Andy Reid who trusts in him to make sure that the defense is on point. If you look at Spagnola's career, who has he always worked for? Andy Reid.
Yeah, they've been together.
Nobody else
They've been together a long time.
since the Eagles.
I just want to give Spag his credit because he had to do it. He got a job to do. And like you said earlier, Andy Reid puts people in the best position to win, to do their job. And in this situation, let me just say this. If Spags doesn't have a good game against the 49ers, Purdy and Mac and Kittle and Debo and Bosa and Young, all them boys, they're going to put them hands on the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to have to, we're going to get into that. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but we're going to get into that. Real quick, let's match. This slide right here is about the Detroit Lions. Okay, which to me, they just, I don't know, man. Something happened during that game. Dalton, talk to me about match it up. Okay, Dalton, I think I'm going to come to you later. I'm going to Coach first with this. Coach, talk to me about the Lions. Match the characters. I told y'all earlier this year.
Yeah.
I told you earlier this year, I said, them Lions, they not the Lion Kings. They the Cowardly Lions. They on the way to see the Wizard. They on the yellow brick road, and they ran into the buzzsaw, and here they are back again on the screen. Talk to me, Coach.
Well, whew, boy, you really look at the Cowardly Lion and you just say, what was, cowardly about, anybody in the game? Jared Goff played a good game. Jahmyr Gibbs played a good game. Detroit's defense played a pretty good game. And Campbell called a pretty good game. But this is where I guess I can say it all went wrong. In the end, the defense gave it up because they didn't have enough heart to make the stops when they needed to make them, because they allowed the 49ers to get big first downs and deep third downs.
Preach.
So the defense just didn't have the heart to really get the job done. As far as the Cowardly Lion, I would say, even though he's, from here, state of Georgia, built by Bama, but that turnover that you made, you were trying to be a little bit more of a king of a jungle than what you really were in the situation. The Lions said it, put him up. I'll fight you with one hand behind my back where you should have had two hands on the ball.
Facts.
So I give the Cowardly Lion Award to Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, that leaves Goff and Campbell. And the Scarecrow wanted to have what?
A brain.
A brain. Now, if he do the math, he lost the ball game by how many points? By 3. I had a 4th down that I could have went ahead and kicked a field goal and scored 3. So if I had went ahead and scored 3, where the game actually finished up at the end of the 4th quarter, we would be tied going into a 3rd period. So, Mr. Scarecrow, you didn't use the left side of the brain. So if there's anybody who could be the Scarecrow and didn't put the numbers together to see where it ended up, that's Mr. Coach Campbell. No matter what kind of job he done all year, you was a scarecrow in that moment.
100%.
Should have taken the points.
100%. That's a great assessment. And Coach, you were all over what I was thinking, man. Like always, that was a great a spiel right there on these characters. What you got, Havoc?
I mean, honestly, I agree with Coach. Now, my reasonings may be a little different. Dan Campbell, and offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, they called 6 running plays in the second half. When you're up by 17 points, I mean, guys, I don't know who started this trend of let's pass the football like Tom Brady when we're up by 2 touchdowns or more, but it needs to stop. That's not good football on any level. When you're up by 2 scores, you run the football, you shorten the game. So, yeah, he showed his lack of a brain there. And I agree with Coach. Passing up that field goal was really stupid. And I like Dan Campbell, so I can be blunt and say it was a stupid decision. It was. It was very stupid, and it cost him the game. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs, yeah, Coach said it earlier, he had a costly fumble. And even then, though, if your running back fumbles, you've got David Montgomery. You can still run the ball and churn yardage out with another running back. If you want to go by, hey, oh, well, he fumbled, so that's why we stopped running it. Even if that's true, it's not a solid enough reasoning. You're up by 17 points, and you're on your way to the Super Bowl. Wow. Now, I think he got a little cute. And then as far as the defense, yeah, the defense, it's more so based on the offense not doing anything. I think they just got tired quick because they had a couple quick 3-and-outs. Next thing you know, you're back on the field. You get burnt. Brock Purdy gets hot, goes 13 of 16 in the second half. Well, if you'd run the ball, you would have kept Purdy off the field.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. And Dalton, what you got on this one?
So I got the same people y'all picked, but here's the thing. Y'all have great points, but I think it's just so unfortunate for the Lions that, you know, you were up this much. I mean, they were cruising. We were watching that game, and we were just like, wow, you know, they're gonna go to the Super Bowl and shock the world. And the thing is, I think they just made the wrong decisions. You know, that was a game like a Tom Brady would come back to. You know, it was like you couldn't get the 3rd down when you needed to, and you couldn't stop them on 3rd downs when they had the ball. Realistically, the Lions needed 1 stop in the second half, and they'd have been, you know, going to the Super Bowl. So, but they also could have ran the football. I mean, you've got a great offensive line, great running backs, and they had run the ball well all night.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's unfortunate, and I hope they can get back. But like Dan Campbell said, you never know how many opportunities you get.
And you know what, man? I thought that was a poor statement by the coach. In that moment, it does you no good to make that statement.
Yeah.
Especially when all year long, all we have said about Dan Campbell is that he's a man's man. He's fierce. You know, he's aggressive, all those things. And to make that statement, to me, it just came off a little flat. I love you guys' points on this. Very masterful. My thing was, I thought that Dan Campbell had too much courage, and making those calls, like Coach said, I think that cost him. A lot of people said, you know, this is how he is. This is what he's been doing all year. But yeah, guess what? You ain't been in an AFC championship all year. Points are a premium. Take the damn points. You never know how that could have changed. And one more thing, guys, I wanted to say, I'm glad y'all brought up the running back, the Gibbs thing. Listen, we got to get away from this idea that running backs don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get out of that mindset. We said it earlier in the year, people not treating running backs with any kind of respect.
No.
And when we go to this next slide right here, which I think it is, he said, right, not bad for a running back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if he had ran that ball a little bit more, he
Oh, my
might
God.
be in the Super Bowl. He wanted to try to show that he was a pocket passer. Obviously, this guy screwed himself. I heard all this talk about monkeying this and monkeying that, and all I saw was some monkey play calling. Okay? This, talk about not being able to get back. What about this squad? This was a team that appeared to have everything. I mean, everything. You got the MVP. You got an electric Zay Flowers, which I hope somebody get into that. You got the best runner of the football that we ever seen, in my opinion. And a great, great, great quintessential Baltimore Ravens defense. And you can't get it done. Have it. Go at it.
Well, I'm going to say no, but almost. And here's why I'm going to say no. Lamar's 27, but yeah, he stunk the bed. There's no doubt about it. He made a couple of really poor decisions. And yeah, Dylan, homeboy on the chat, it was pass interference. But still, why would Lamar throw that ball into triple coverage? And don't tell me I'm trying to get a flag call. No, that's bad quarterback play, Lamar. You threw it to an area with 3 guys in the area.
Exactly.
And then, like you said, Barry, just Lamar's outright refusal to run was just strange and preposterous to me. I'm thinking all year the Ravens are going to get to the championship game and they're going to go back to old school football and punch the Chiefs in the mouth, which was a solution because the Chiefs have a great pass defense. The Chiefs have a lot of great young, fast DBs. So their problem is not defending the pass. And what Monken and Lamar Jackson did was they try to have a shootout with Patrick Mahomes, and they scored 7 points. The defense did their job. I know I asked this question earlier, but if you would have told us, anyone in this room, anyone watching at home, that 17 points was going to be enough for the Chiefs to win, I don't think anyone would have agreed. I mean, who thought the defense was going to hold the Chiefs to 17 points? The defense did their job. Roquan Smith is a tremendous leader and leads them and keeps them fired up. And I honestly feel bad for the defense because the way Lamar Jackson played, he put the defense in a lot of bad situations, and they still kept the Chiefs at 17 points. As far as his legacy, I want to say yes, but what's stopping me is his age. Now, I will say this about the Ravens going forward and Lamar. Lamar's going to have to realize his game is running the football. You know what I wanted from Lamar, guys? I wanted him to carry it 20 times on Sunday. I think if he carries 20 times, they win. You remember, and all of us are football buffs, so I'm sure we all remember this game. It was the Green Bay Packers and San Francisco 49ers years ago, probably 10 years ago, with Colin Kaepernick as the quarterback, Jim Harbaugh as the head coach. And Colin Kaepernick rushed for 179 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
I thought that's what they were going to try to do with Lamar.
Cook have it.
Yeah, it was just disappointing. And hopefully they learn their lesson. I know Derrick Henry's available as a free agent. He would be great to pair up with Lamar, in my opinion. But you gotta commit to the run if you're the Ravens.
And look, man, think about, and Coach, I want you to consider the MVP season that this guy has had in every one of the quarterbacks that he knocked off. And the only one he had to beat live was Patrick Mahomes. I think it was a squandered opportunity, Coach. Tell me.
Yeah, it was. And it was all the way through the whole game plan. I don't know what made him want to try to make Lamar Tom Brady. He stayed in the pocket way too long. He could have been gone, and he stayed in there. He broke I don't know how many stacks and still wanted to stay committed to the pass when it's like, dude, go. But the one thing a lot of people don't look at that I do, especially when it comes to offense and running my entire offense, Odell Beckham Jr. was wasted space.
Yeah.
Period. If you throwing it in a triple coverage, that's because somewhere on that field there's a receiver who's only half-assing it,
Facts. Yeah,
and it
definitely.
ain't nothing you can do from that point when that was the game plan. But in critical situations where we trying to come back and try to win a ball game, now you want to show up for a few plays. The gold shoes were nowhere to be found throughout that whole ball game.
Mm.
And that's the one thing I don't like about him. Period. I don't care who he plays for. He was like that when he was at LSU. You are mama's baby, and you the prettiest thing in the room.
Mm.
And you're not performing. But let's get Beckham. It always sounds good to a team that can pick him up. Stop paying him.
Yeah. They gave you
Because
20
when it
million.
matters, he ain't there. Now what was Odell Beckham doing in week 6? Nothing that he did in that ball game. What was he doing in week 9? Nothing that he was doing in that ball game. A lot of times the reason why Lamar got gone is why? Because them cornerbacks had their back turned. Why? Because they had to run with ODB.
Yeah.
But in this ball game, the Chiefs didn't have to run with him. He was half-assing the whole ball game. So Lamar's legacy didn't take a hit. What it did was it put a little bit more character to who you are if you ever get the job done. Because until we remember what you actually went through to get there, you just got there. So this is a little bit of adversity for him. But if the Ravens are smart, you keep your defense intact the way you got it intact. We see a lot of these black men getting jobs, not as just head coaches in the league, but getting executive jobs. Well, Ravens, if you're smart, I would find a way to get a T. Suggs or Ray Lewis on the staff with player PR. I would love to, because they brought different energy to the ball game. What it was a bad game plan by letting Lamar try to be Mr. Passer, because you got to that fact earlier in the show. Who is the one quarterback that beat Patrick Mahomes? Tom Brady. And y'all tried to go out and do it Brady way with a soft ODB. You ain't gonna never win that way. You stick to the script that you had been playing the whole season. He should have been on his feet a lot more than he was, but no, he didn't take a hit. It's really gonna, I would say, build his character and get him going. But I just feel sorry for the kid.
Yeah, it was rough. Dalton, what you got on this?
So what this reminds me of is Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, early 2000s. Tom Brady was just getting it done every time. In this case, it would be Patrick Mahomes. And Manning was just, unfortunately having great regular seasons, but losing in the playoffs. And, like Coach, you just said, once he finally gets it done, this will just be, one of the milestones to get there. And I think that's what it is. Unfortunately, the game plan was horrible. The first drive was just great, and then after that, it was awful. I agree. He should have ran the ball a whole lot more. They were just playing just playing off, I mean, and rushing with 3 and 4 and then getting to him after time. Yeah. I mean, of course, he was back there 6, 7, 8 seconds. So, I know he made a mistake, there late. But I will say this: he threw the ball well enough to win that game, and that's what's crazy. Is I guess it is in his head that people are saying he can't throw the ball, But he was deadly accurate at times in that game for some big yardage. But I just think Lamar needs to be Lamar. Run the football, be you. When it's open, go. I mean, when he was at Florida or Louisville, man, I always say Florida because the only game I can think of is the game he torched Florida State. I mean, you watch it, it's like Superman, But it is very disappointing. I wanted the Ravens to win, but it is what it is. I think it reminds me of Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Two guys battling out, and they're going to probably battle it out for the next 5 years, at least.
You know what? I'm surprised that you actually said that you wanted the Ravens to win over the Chiefs. That's a huge surprise. But let me say this, guys. I think what I just heard was 3 people who love Lamar Jackson as much as I do. But once again, pump the brakes. Has Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady ever been on the field doing an actual play together playing against each other? Has that ever happened? No. Because 2 quarterbacks are never on the field at the same time for the most part. Right? But what do we say? Tom Brady beat Patrick Mahomes head to head. Okay? Lamar Jackson is 2 and 4 in playoff.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, an MVP, really about to be a 2-time MVP, number 1 seed, number 1 defense in all of football, and you put up 10 points and throw a horrible interception in triple coverage in a AFC championship, and your legacy don't take a hit? Well, hell, nobody can take a hit. When the history books are written, this will be remembered. This will be a strike against him. And guys, as the league gets tougher and tougher and tougher, even though I don't like what Dan Campbell said, it's gonna be hard as hell to get back to the end to there. You got to keep all of that together, man. It's hard to keep all of those players together, all of that together. When you start considering money and people just wanting to do different things, and it's just hard to do. The thing that I agree with is what Dalton said, and all of y'all have alluded to. Lamar needs to be Lamar. The difference between Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick is a certified killer who is willing, like y'all said earlier, I'll do whatever it takes to win. Style doesn't matter. I like what he said earlier today I heard. I have learned to be more like Tom. This is what Patrick said. Whatever it takes to win, that's what I do. I don't care about the stats. Now, you telling me the most prolific runner of the football decides to just sit back there, go against his own instincts to run the football. Look, dude, that means something to me. I saw him last in the divisional rounds run slap out of the football stadium up the shoot after he scored a touchdown. He played with more energy in that game than he did against the current GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one of you said this earlier, but I think they crapped the britches when they heard Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes was coming to Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. I think they crapped their britches and they was not ready. Or the other thing is they were so sure that they were going to beat the Chiefs that they decided we could just let Jackson just sit back here and just dial it up. Well, they were wrong. And honestly, man, we didn't get into the Zay thing, which that kid looks like he's going to be great. But coaching, the mental mistakes killed them. With that taunting and that fumble, you might as well say that lost the game.
Yeah.
What was happening the week before? Jim Harbaugh, did I say Jim? It's John. John was in the locker room dancing with his players. I know y'all saw it. Andy Reid said that when Andy said, he said, we're not going to be doing no dancing today. We got some work to do. That was the difference. The mindset of coming to play football. And that's why y'all, not to toot my horn, but I will every once in a while. That's why I say don't give up on the Chiefs. Because the brain trust and the killers that they got on their team give you at least a shot. And you the champ. And you got the experience. This should have been the game that they said Jackson should have said, I'll die on this field before I let Patrick Mahomes beat me. He didn't have that mentality. And that's why he at home. He had more energy in him slamming the helmet on the ground after he threw into triple coverage than he did the whole game. So I'm going to have to say, fellas, this got to mean something. The style, the opportunity, the style in which they lost, that turnover, the opportunity at hand, it has to mean something. Right?
Yeah.
Fellas, pretty damn good. Listen, I've been on the fence of this guy, and I think we all have the whole year. What is this? What are we watching? Okay. Remember, all year we've been talking about Purdy. Up and down. What Habit said earlier, he was very passionate about talking about game manager.
Yeah, game manager.
He's been waiting on this slide, and I ain't going to make him wait too long. But listen, guys, I have to be honest. You remember we had the slide early in the year as Jackson. Again, we talk about Jackson. Is he a bona fide quarterback? And this is the question that we're trying to answer about Purdy. Because Mr. Irrelevant, it don't look like we used to seeing it. He don't look like a stud. He looks like he ought to be playing the piano in somebody's symphony. Except he is playing in the NFL. He has for the last 2 years. And he's done almost everything they asked him to do. He has some kind of way made his way into early in the year MVP discussion. And now the kid is in the Super Bowl. This is a great story. We should be talking about it. We should be celebrating it. However, there's a little bit of cloud over this. Have it. Why?
Well, I know why there's clouds over it, and it's because people are just looking at Brock Purdy's size and his measurables. Yes, he's built just like Tua. Yes, he probably has the same level of arm strength as Tua. But the difference between Brock Purdy and Tua is Brock Purdy can play no matter what the weather condition. He throws it to the right guy. He stays within himself. You never see Brock Purdy underthrowing Tyreek Hill by 5 yards. Brock Purdy throws with much better anticipation than Tua. If you watch him, he always leads the receiver correctly, and he never throws wide receivers into big hits. That's another reason I really like Purdy. Now, let's dig into Purdy a little bit. The measurables aren't great. He cannot throw a football 70 yards. He's not a 4.3 40, and he's about Drew Brees' size, 6 feet, 210 pounds. But when the lights come on and he puts that helmet on and that ball snap, he throws it to the right guy. And that's something that we've got to give him credit for. I mean, he was 13 of 16 in the second half this week, leading a fourth quarter comeback. And then the previous week, he also had to come from behind. So all year, critics and pundits, oh, well, we want to see what he can do from behind. He can only play with the lead. Well, the last 2 weeks in a row, he's come from behind and won a game. So I think that's another thing he's done to shut people up. He threw 31 touchdowns this regular season, and now his playoff record is 5-1. So even if Purdy loses this game, he'll have a 5-2 playoff record.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you got to get a kid the credit. And we're so used to seeing things how we want to see it. And if we don't see it that way, we don't want to give credit that it deserves. Coach, talk to me about Brock Purdy.
Well, you mean Steve Montana, the kid everybody calls Brock?
There you go.
I told you at the beginning of the season, what was San Francisco missing all these years? Quarterback. Hadn't had one since who? Steve Young. Okay, but they've had Jeff Garcia and all the other guys. They hadn't had a quarterback in San Francisco. They had Alex Smith. They hadn't had a quarterback in San Francisco since Steve Young.
Hold on.
But
What
Brock
about
Purdy-
Garoppolo and Cap?
They hadn't had a quarterback in San Francisco since Steve Young. When I say quarterback, what's the system? Bill
West
Walsh,
Coast, yeah.
Montana ran the system. Steve Young, Mariucci, West Coast, they ran the system. Brock Purdy, Shanahan, he's running the system. He's not asked to go do anything extra. Run the system. He knows his progression. He knows the time in the progression. So when Brock Purdy makes throws, he doesn't have to have a strong arm to make the throw, because like Havoc said, he always lead the wide receivers open because he already knows just in time where my players are in progression. If I was going to throw this route, I know how long it takes for him to get open here. If I was going to throw that route, I know how long it would take him to get open there. If I was going to throw this route, I know how long it would take for him to get open there. And go through your progression. And you already know that the clock says bam. And he throws it, and guess what? IU, that wide open? Well, how did he spot that? It wasn't the fact that he spotted it. He knew that in the system, that's when he would be there.
Well, I tell
Shanahan
you,
did the same thing with the Falcons, except the one difference was he came in at halftime and said, all right, Matty Ice, I'm going to the 49ers next year. So y'all can have this shit. I don't care what y'all think about me. I'm no longer your offensive coordinator. I went out there and I did my job in the first half. It's up to you to finish it off, Mr. Matty Ice. I'm the 49ers coach tomorrow morning. But now it's a different situation. And what was the different situation? Look what he did in halftime at this game against the Lions. He came out and he was still the coach at halftime. He put his players in the right position. He utilized his stars when it was time to utilize them with what? A game managing, systematic quarterback that's pretty damn good.
wow. That's great. Dalton, what you got on this?
You know, every time we say something about pretty damn good, I think of Coming to America. That boy good.
Good, terrible.
You know, so I think of Ronnie Watkins and Sexual Chocolate. But I will tell you, Brock Purdy, man, gotta love him. He is unreal. And if he keeps this up, hey, we might be talking about more Brock Purdy than less Patrick Mahomes. But he's got a long way to go. And if he wins this, I mean, it's a huge, huge win. And, you know, it's funny, at the beginning of the year, we said, wow, Brock Purdy lost in the NFC Championship game because of a torn, UCL ligament in his elbow. What it could have been. Well, we saw. He won. Yeah. So, what a telltale ending to this year. I'm happy to see it.
Turn, you got something on Purdy. You hopped on here late. You got something on Purdy.
I mean, I'm not really biting, drinking the Kool-Aid that much. I mean, I don't think Purdy's awful. I don't think he's great neither. But at the end of the day, he made the plays that he needed to do to win San Francisco the game. If it wasn't for him, they would have lost this past weekend. So, I mean, I can't hate on him there. So,
what do you think? What do you think, people? What is your problem with him?
I don't have a problem with that. It's just 95% of the NFL quarterbacks are making or missing the same throws that he is. The only difference is they don't have a top 5 defense in the NFL, and then they don't have all the weapons that he's got, whether it's throwing the ball or running the ball. So he can afford to miss some of those throws because, if he's the pass game's not going good, usually the run game is. And then Purdy's not great until the run game gets going. I mean, you've seen Christian McCaffrey started getting going, and that's why a lot of those receivers, I mean, on top of what Coach said about him knowing where they're supposed to be, they were wide open because they had to start dialing in on Christian McCaffrey. Because he wasn't – if you look at it first half, he had less yards than 3 separate Detroit players. There was 3 players, including Jameson Williams, who had more rushing yards than Brock Purdy.
Well, let me say this. I appreciate that because I'm still, like I tell them, I'm still on the fence too, but I got to give him credit for what he did. But let me tell you one thing what the difference in between Brock Purdy and Lamar Jackson is. Purdy can actually run the damn football. Purdy had, I know, at least 2 runs that were stellar, and he looked like he running for his damn life.
Yeah, and another thing, and I've been one of Lamar Jackson's biggest critics. I know exactly what his problem was in that game. He was trying to be something he's not. He was too busy trying to prove everybody wrong about his passing ability instead of just doing what he done to get there. Take it off whenever it's there. Go. You are the best athlete on the field.
And here's what's so funny about that. I know we talked about Lamar the last slide, but here's what's so funny about it. When Lamar was running and not passing, he got criticized. Now he passing and not running, he's getting criticized.
Well, see,
so what he needs to do is just be him damn self and do what he does.
Yeah, because
criticize.
That's right.
At the end of the day, like I said, yeah, you can get criticized, but winners win. If you're winning, it don't matter what you're doing. I mean, you can critique somebody all day long. It's like I said, we look at Tom Brady. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback of all time, but he won. He kept winning, so it's kind of hard not to make the argument for him to be the GOAT, whether you like him or not.
Right.
You can't. Right. You can say stuff about his play. You can say stuff about what he done, but he won. He won.
He did.
Point blank. Same thing with Mahomes. If Mahomes wins this against this team, because he shouldn't. Let's be honest. I don't care what it's the Andy Reid. Mahomes should not win this game, but if he does,
hold on. Why?
That it's just not a good matchup for him at all. I expect the spread to be almost 7 points for the Super Bowl.
It's 1 point.
Right now.
It ain't gonna go up.
If it's 1 point, then that is I'm taking the 49ers all day, and I don't care. The Chiefs should. I mean, they were 7-point underdogs in this past game. It's just not a good matchup for them.
You can't go about all them point spreads and all that, dude, because I never thought the Chiefs were gonna lose that game.
I didn't either. That's why I took them. But like I said, it's all about matchups at the end of the day. I just don't think the Chiefs match up well against the 49ers.
Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna go to you, Havoc, on this. David versus Goliath or another story. Okay, I want to lead into this way to kind of spin off of what Tony just said. People talk about matchups and they only thinking about what? X's and O's.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have went to the damn Super Bowl. How many? 4 of the last 5? 4 of the last 6? Yeah. What about experience? What about experience in the biggest game? What about the most tenured coach? What about the best quarterback? What about the number 2 defense in all of football? Does that matter at all?
Well, I mean, I would call it I guess, a David and Goliath, but not because of this quarterback matchup here. I just think Andy Reid's going to outcoach Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's going to do what he does in big games, which is try to prove to the world how smart he is. And I don't think he's going to commit to running the ball the same way the Ravens didn't. So my David and Goliath story isn't Mahomes and Purdy. It's Andy Reid's definitely a Goliath over Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan can't get the monkey off his back. He lost with ATL. He was the OC when they blew that 28-3 lead. And he lost last time in the Super Bowl with the 49ers with Garoppolo at quarterback because he did the same thing. He kept passing the ball in the fourth quarter when the running game was working. Andy Reid doesn't make foolish mistakes like this, which is why that's the real story. Andy Reid and Shanahan.
Coach, this he brings up a great point about Andy Reid, and remember, don't forget about Spags. Don't forget about the defense. I'm looking for an inspired, a heavily inspired Kansas City Chiefs team to be in Vegas. What say you?
How many years has Brock Purdy been a starter?
Well, 1.5 because he took over week 10 last year.
Okay, so 1.5 as a starter, 2 NFC Championship games appearances. Now he's in a Super Bowl. He was injured, probably could have been in the Super Bowl last year, maybe even won it last year, who knows. But now he's back again, and this is the matchup we were all looking for last year. So it's nothing new. It's the same matchup we were looking for last year. Everybody said Eagles, 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 but what they really wanted was the Niners. And what was going on out there? Christian McCaffrey, what's going on out there? So it's going to be a nightmare matchup for Kansas City. Because even though they are good up front, they're not as talented on the back end as to what the 49ers is going to bring to the back end. And what the 49ers have on the front end, the Chiefs hadn't had that many coming at them like that. And I don't care who you are, Nick Bosa is a game changer.
Yeah.
And Fred Warner is a game changer. Now, the biggest story that's going on right now in San Francisco is Chase Young and taking plays off. And you can easily see it. And he's really taking plays off because he's the only thing that's hurting the defense in production. He's not getting there. But as far as a David Goliath story, I really don't see one because it was the matchup we was looking at last year. I see it as another story. And it's back to what Havoc said. Which one of these coaches is going to manage their quarterback the best to win this ball game?
Coach, you're going to actually do this again.
What am I doing?
You're going to actually do this again.
I'm going for the Chiefs because see, this is what I'm gonna say. Every time I pick the Chiefs and pick'ems this year, I lost. Every time I went against the Chiefs this year, I lost.
Well, good. Go against them, Coach.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, I am pulling out my Lee Corso. Because we already know when he put the head on or the mascot head on, it's bad luck for you. I'm going to be the Lee Corso. And I'm going for the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the San Francisco 49ers 24-23.
Look, it makes me so mad that you done that because, look, I don't even have to make my picks yet to know that Dalton is picking Kansas City strictly because he has got so much spite for Patrick Mahomes that he can't even see straight. Because he knows Patrick Mahomes is the only thing that compares to Tom Brady and has a chance to dethrone him. So Dalton will be picking the 49ers in the pick'em, and I'll be picking the Chiefs. But since you done that, if I lose, it's on you, Coach.
Hey, it's the Lee Corso effect. I
you
ain't
know
winning
the only reason,
but I really want the Chiefs. I'm really saying the Chiefs gonna win But dude, me and them boys ain't been on the same page all year.
The only reason that Dalton is going to bet 49ers is because he don't have an amount of money on the game that matters. If he had an amount that mattered, think about it. He's saying, I'm gonna spend $20 and I get a chance of Purdy beating Mahomes. Put another few hundred on it, and he'll start looking at this game for what it's worth. Go ahead, Dalton.
Well, not a David versus Goliath by any means. It's more like two big ass ugly gladiators, in the Coliseum or something like that. But no, I'm excited for this game. I'm not excited to see Taylor Swift and Pat Mahomes as weird brother, but I am very excited for Ursher coming at halftime. That's gonna be cool. Ursher baby at halftime. So that'll be nice. And then they said somebody musical at the beginning of the show, but the football, man. I want Brock Purdy to win. Oh, man, it'd be nice. But I tell you what, if I win the pick 'em, I win money. So whoever I pick just needs to win. That's all I care about.
Yeah, because whoever you pick, I'm picking opposite because I got to get both of them right. Right. Just know that.
Guys, I do think that there's a great story in this. Brock Purdy wins this game. I know there'll be a lot of hating on Patrick Mahomes or like, what's new, right? But this is a great opportunity for somebody that we have called Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, because it don't matter what he's done, guys, up to this point. You lose this game, it was all for nothing. Let's just be honest. It's not the same for Patrick Mahomes. He lost, but he went to the Super Bowl again. 4 out of the last 6 straight AFC championships.
All 6 years as a starter.
All 6 years as a starter. That's phenomenal. Even Dalton can't hate on that stat. But I do think Brock Purdy has a problem. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs defense. The mother bars can do all they want to. Your Chases and your Bosas and all of that. But the Chiefs defense is for real, guys. They're for real. And they're going to be the ones to win the game for the Chiefs if they win. I expect Mahomes. Look, man, 17 points and a half. When have we ever heard of a Patrick Mahomes team not score at a whole half of football? Especially in the second half.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I look for the defense to set the tone. If the Kansas City Chiefs defense, I say we, y'all, I let the cat out of the bag.
Mm-hmm.
If they do not have a great game, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, going to be the biggest story in America because he knocked off Patrick Mahomes. That's just how it goes. Take us out, dog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, always great Wednesday night when the NFL show is here. This is the Chop and Block podcast. Hey, I'm telling every member of this podcast, stay backstage with us after this show because I got to show you all this prank call that I was talking about before. But glad everybody was able to join us tonight here on YouTube. This has been the Chop and Block podcast. We will see you next week. We're just a couple days away from the Super Bowl. Maybe some of y'all will switch it up. But that's it for tonight.
Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us